Do y'all remember in high school when Sally went through with the senior prank?
Everyone else was wussing out, and if I didn't do it, nobody was gonna do it, and then we'd be the forgotten class of '09.
Right?
It was hilarious either way.
You're welcome.
Right?
Let's not let this happen again.
Let's not let what happen, Brianna.
Let's not wait years to do this again. Let's keep in touch, not let the years pass by.
That sounds like a great idea.
Definitely. Y'all hear that?
Sounds like marching, but I don't know where it's coming from.
Be quiet.
Sounds like it's coming from up there.
Run! They have a gun!
What's going on?
I don't know. Just try to stay quiet. Maybe they won't notice us.
They?
You heard more than one gun, didn't you?
Wait. Where's Andrew?
Dude, are you okay?
I guess so. I guess the guy was a bad shot.
There's no way with that many shots they would have missed you.
What's the matter, Steve?
There's nothing here. No bullets, no shells, nothing.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's nothing. I mean, if with all that noise and bullets, I mean, they would have hit something. I mean, if they did hit Andrew, I mean, there would be something. It's like...
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Everything that you've just seen was inspired by eyewitness testimony and personal stories that people have said and experienced at this very location. Today we're going to be talking about a battlefield, a very famous battlefield that is supposedly teeming with countless amounts of ghosts. This battle took place in one of the bloodiest wars that ever took place on American soil. And of course, I'm talking about the American Civil War. This war pitted brother against brother, father against son. There's no telling how many ghosts are actually in such a place with such hostile energy. Today we're going to be looking at the possible haunting of the Fredericksburg Battlefield Cemetery. This will be the first episode of Stories of Lore where we will actually be on location for the spot that we're talking about today. And of course, this is the Fredericksburg Battlefield Cemetery, which is in the heart of Fredericksburg, Virginia, in my backyard. Now, there are thousands upon thousands of soldiers that are buried behind these very stones that you see behind me. And some people think that the soldiers that lie beneath this ground are still haunting this battlefield and the town itself. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into the actual haunting, let's talk about the battle that brought these soldiers here. And for that, we're going to need to travel back to the 19th century in the United States. Now, the Civil War started on April 12th, 1861, when Confederate soldiers fired on the Union troops at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. Now, the main reason why the South seceded from the Union was because of nullification, meaning that they believed that the national government had too much control in an individual's life. So they decided to secede and make their own, naming it the Confederate States of America. Also, the election of Abraham Lincoln enraged a lot of people in the South, making it an even bigger reason to secede. Now, the states that made up the CSA were Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Texas. And they were all under the control of their elected president, Jefferson Davis. Now from 1861 to 1865, the CSA fought for their independence, and it ultimately ended on April 9th, 1865, when Major General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Major General Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, ending the South's war campaign for freedom, making them join back with the United States. Now for this, we're going to be talking about one particular battle, that being the Battle of Fredericksburg. Now this battle lasted from December 11th to December 15th, 1862, and it was between Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia and Major General Ambrose Burnside's Army of the Potomac.
In 1862, Lincoln was going to sign the Emancipation Proclamation, and he needed a victory before the signing, and his current Major General at the time, George B. McClellan, was not providing very many wins, so Lincoln brought in Ambrose Burnside to provide this win. Burnside was born on May 23, 1824 in Liberty, Indiana. He attended the United States Military Academy, where he graduated 18th in his class of 47 in the year of 1847. He served in the Mexican-American War and would later create the 1st Rhode Island Infantry Group during the Civil War that was one of the first groups to go to Washington and offer capital protection. He was appointed Major General and Commander of the Army of the Potomac on November 10, 1862, after McClellan failed to follow Lee. Now, to talk a little bit about his opponent. Robert E. Lee was born on January 19, 1807, to a Revolutionary War hero, Henry Light Horse Harry Lee. Robert attended the West Point Academy, even through financial struggles, and graduated second in his class. After he graduated, he served in the Corps of Engineers for 17 years, not seeing the battlefield until the Mexican-American War. During the Civil War, he was offered a commander position of the federal forces, but since his home state of Virginia had already seceded, he refused, saying he would not fight against his own people. So instead, he became the commander of the Army of Northern Virginia, which was the most famous and successful of all of the Confederate armies.
Now Burnside's original plan was that he was going to position most of his army around the Warrenton area in Virginia. And he was going to act like he was initiating attacks against Orange Courthouse, Culpeper Courthouse, and Gordonsville. Now what he was really doing, instead of doing all those attacks, is he was going to come and try to cross the Rappahannock River that you see right behind me and sneak through Fredericksburg right under Robert E. Lee's nose, and then go straight to Richmond and take the capital of the Confederacy. Now, this plan might have worked because he did make it to the Rappahannock River, but his materials that he needed for his pontoon bridges to cross the river did not arrive when they should have. So, Lee was able to notice that they were trying to infiltrate Fredericksburg. Now, Burnside was able to cross the river, under fire, mind you, and get into Fredericksburg, but since Lee had already spotted him, this initiated the Battle of Fredericksburg once they got to Marie's Heights, which is now the Fredericksburg Battlefield Cemetery. Now during this battle, there were thousands upon thousands of casualties between soldiers that fell in battle and soldiers that became sick and died later. Now in this cemetery, there are the Union soldiers from the Battle of Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania Courthouse, Chancellorsville, and Wilderness. Now the Confederate soldiers were taken and buried in two other cemeteries, one by Spotsy Courthouse and the other right down the road from this one. There were so many people that are buried here. There are 15,243 total bodies that are buried in this cemetery. And only 2,478 of those bodies are actually known. Now some of the graves are marked with the names of the people that are known, but the other graves have two numbers on them. And the top number is the grave number. The bottom number is how many bodies are in that actual grave. Some of these markers have up to 6 or more bodies in one grave together, and their identities are not known. Now if someone was to die in such a gruesome way as warfare, and then not even be remembered for what they fought for, that would anger any spirit. Now you have the combination of the hostile anger and hatred and bloodshed that's already stained this land, mixed with the anger of not being remembered for what they did. And that, I'm sure, would rouse up the already existing energy with the energy of the deceased people's spirits. And there's no wonder why people are having so many paranormal, ghostly experiences in this cemetery. This area you see right behind me is known as the Sunken Road. And many people have had countless experiences walking on this road. Some of them range anywhere from cold spots to the sounds of soldiers marching down the road towards them. Now, the Confederates stood on this side of the wall, and what they were doing is they were protecting themselves from the oncoming Union troops coming towards the wall. Now, Burnside, he initiated 7 attacks on this wall, but the Confederates held their post so well that no Union troop got within 50 yards of this wall, and it was a very, very failed attack against the Confederates. And on this very ground in front of this wall is where all of the Union troops' bodies fell and where they bled and they died. And one can only question, did their energy or their soul remain in the spot where they fell because they died such a horrible and tragic death fighting for what they believed in?
The building you see in this picture is a recently closed restaurant in the town of Fredericksburg. Now, it's been many things over the years. It's been a post office, a home, and multiple restaurants. And it is said that during the Civil War it was a home to a couple. The husband was off fighting on the Confederate side in the Civil War, while his wife stayed home and enjoyed pleasing passing Union soldiers. Well, when the husband returned home, he heard of her affairs and confronted her about it. She ultimately admitted to it and was so overcome with shame that she ran to the top of the stairs and she hung herself. Some people over the years have seen a ghost of a womanly figure running down the middle of the restaurant towards the stairs. One can only assume that it is the shameful and departed spirit of that Confederate soldier's wife. Now, this building in the picture is also a reported haunted location in the town of Fredericksburg, and it is referred to as the Willis House. Now, the Willis House is believed to be the oldest framed house in the entire Fredericksburg area, and during the war, a Union soldier sought protection here by hiding in one of the closets or pantries in the house. Now, when he did, bullets still found their way through the house, through the door, and into the closet or pantry and killed the Union soldier, who was later buried out in the garden in the backyard. Now, to this day, people have reported that they see the man's ghost running from the garden into the house and up the stairs. Once again, one can only assume that this departed soul is still seeking refuge in this house.
Now, we have to remember that all of these stories and all of these claims about this location are strictly from eyewitness testimonies and personal experiences. But at the same time, we can't discredit what these people are saying. Because, like I've said before in previous videos, if you have a lot of people saying that they're feeling something or they're experiencing something or they're saying something, not every one of them is lying. Somebody has to be telling the truth. That they feel something or they see something paranormal, and especially in a place with so much built up energy, the likelihood of spirits and ghosts of these fallen soldiers still being around is very possible. Because we also have to keep in mind the famous quote that energy or matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It simply goes from one form to another. So, if a person is in fact made of energy, which we are, when we die, if that energy is not destroyed, where does it go? It has to go somewhere. Does it morph into something else? Or is that energy in fact our spirit lingering around after we die? Now, there are a couple different kinds of ghosts and different kinds of hauntings. There are 3 major ones. There's one where a ghost knows that it's dead and it knows that it's haunting a specific place. There's also another one where the spirit does in fact know it's dead, but it's a malevolent spirit and it tries to harm the people that are either living or living around the place that it's haunting. And then there's a third one, and these ghosts don't necessarily know they're dead. Some people think that it's just leftover energy from an event or something that happened. And they think that they're a part of residual energy. And a lot of people associate residual energy with battles from wars and things like that, that the energy was so great that it just didn't leave, and it trapped those spirits in the energy, making them replay their deaths and their battles and the things that they experienced in that location over and over and over again. Myself have had experiences at this very cemetery and battlefield. I came here around the same time last year with the paranormal investigation team to investigate the cemetery. And I did experience some cold spots, and we did an experiment with witching or dowsing rods, and it's you hold these rods, and normally what they were used for is to detect water sources. But they can also, it's thought that they can detect energy as well. And you can also ask a spirit if they're present, that they can cross them and uncross them. You can also use it to communicate with them. And that's exactly what we did. I did it myself, and I asked the spirit to cross it, and in fact they did. I was standing still, so there was no way I could cross it myself. And I asked them to uncross it, and they, in fact, uncrossed it. Now again, this is all personal accounts, and it's not just me. Some people think that not only the cemetery and the battlefields themselves, but in fact the town of Fredericksburg is haunted by these fallen soldiers and other people that have perished here. And when you come to Fredericksburg, you do feel a sense of something. You feel a feeling that you just can't explain. Now, whether this is the ghosts of the Civil War and Revolutionary War battles that were fought here, or if it's just simply being around so much history concentrated in one area, we may never know. But we have to keep in mind, as I've mentioned, when you have a battle that was so bloody and horrific, and people died so suddenly, believing in what they did was right, you have to think, are they still lingering where they died, fighting their fight until the end of time?
Hey everybody, if you liked what you saw today, then please do not forget to hit that big red subscribe button below. Also remember to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. Those links to the websites will be in the comment section. Also, please remember to like and comment and share this video, because a lot of work goes into these videos, not just from me, but from my cast and crew as well. So please like, comment, and share to get the video more exposure and get it out there. Also, if anybody still has any stories or experiences that they just can't explain, or they think something paranormal happened to them, then please contact me either by commenting on this video or finding me on Facebook or Twitter and letting me know about that, and it might be a future episode on the show. And please wait for the next episode.